Hey everyone, today I want to share with you my thoughts with ChatGPT. It's such a hype in the past few days. Everybody's talking about ChatGPT. And as a software engineering manager, as a tech entrepreneur, today I want to share with you some of my thoughts regarding ChatGPT. Hopefully it's useful for you. So here's my summarization, right? I think ChatGPT is good for coding related tasks. I literally copy paste the leak code question into ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT to give me the answer. It's literally break down details of coding questions one by one. Like, okay, here's step one, step two, step three, so on and so forth. So I think it's really good for coding related questions. And since there are so many, I think it related with training set. If you are familiar with AI, the better the training data is, the better the results or the AI model is. So I think there are so many coding related existing material or training sets in GitHub, GitLab, on all different kind of open source areas, open source projects, folders. I think it's a great place for ChatGPT to be able to answering questions. Also, there's a lot of how-to type of questions, right? Like, how do I become a successful entrepreneur? Because there are so many devices like text-based devices online on Google. I think ChatGPT was able to grab all these answers, corpus from online, and train the model to be able to handle how-to type of questions. So I think ChatGPT is really good at how-to and coding related tasks versus some kind of creative related questions like, hey, can you give me, like I asked ChatGPT, can you predict the future of, like, pick one stock? I think it's more falling into this kind of pattern recognition, right? Pattern mimic of what a lot of existing articles talking about, what stocks to pick up, kind of related solutions. So it's still mimicking. It's not really thinking, analysis the past 10 years of data and to predict what the stock market is going to look like in the next few years. It's more just to focus on pattern mimic and mimic what a lot of the experts are saying, the tone, the way of saying, right, the kind of titles they're trying to produce, like all these other financial YouTubers trying to produce. So I think it's really good at coding, it's really good at answering how-to kind of question, but really suck at predicting, so on and so forth. And also good at like summarize a big paragraph of articles and summarizing like less than 100 words. It's really good at this kind of repetitive work. So guys, I think that's my experience with ChatGPT so far on performing tasks. Next, I want to talk about my understanding of ChatGPT. So it's basically crawling through the whole internet, right? The whole internet, all the text, crawling through, tag them, and use a supervised, a combination of supervised and unsupervised learning, which leads to this gigantic model to answer all different kind of questions. So the quality of the model really relies on the data quality. And I think after play with it for a while, I think it's quite easy to figure out there's a pattern regarding how the ChatGPT bot gonna answer your question. So it's mainly based on pattern recognition, and it doesn't really understand what you're talking about. It's more like a pattern recognition behind. So as long as you have performed this kind of conversation with ChatGPT before, or the human trainer, because I read through the ChatGPT website, it mentioned the human trainer. So there's literally some human are performing the chat tasks with ChatGPT and try to correct its behavior. So the ChatGPT, but if ChatGPT can recognize this kind of pattern, when you ask similar questions, it will just give out the answers. It was trained to tell you so. So that's my current understanding. I think that's where the limitations come from. So if ChatGPT can be wildly adapted by all different like millions of different people from different professions and training the specific category, like say computer science or finance or private equity, venture capitalist or construction, right? Under different label and performance, it's specific kind of tasks, and interact with people, with experts, and correct these answers gradually. In the long run, it will be really helpful to make ChatGPT definitely a much better product and have a much better, not only mimicking the answers, but really have all the previous training experiences from talking with experts and corrected its answers and provide to people from a different vertical to learn what is going on in that specific domain. Like for people from finance learning about construction if they're interested, right? So what could be used to describe ChatGPT for people who are not technical is that it's more like, have you ever watched Three Eyes Riven, the Game of Thrones? There's a character called Three Eyes Riven, right? It's basically have all the history and who is the Three Eyes Riven. I think ChatGPT is like kind of like that. It's basically scrolling through the internet, gathering all the data since the beginning of the internet, entering all the text available on the internet, and all stuff into this gigantic model, and then have some human trainers trying to tuning the answer, make it more human readable and more mimicking like what existing is on the expert side. So it's more readable for normal people when they use it, right? So it's just a gigantic encyclopedia in my opinion, and there are a lot of good data, bad data stuff into this model. So it's still far away from into this kind of general AI. What do you want? I think there's still far away from that, but there's definitely hope. So then let me talk about my experience with my entrepreneurship journey with machine learning related products. So ChatGPT is such a big hype, but I think there's a lot of caveats that need to give out for guys who think about chasing the route of a machine learning based startup. The biggest challenge we'll have is obviously first, you need quite good enough data to prove that your product have really good ROI. Because let's rephrase it, it's the cold start problem. So if you have the cold start problem, which means you don't have good enough data, you can't prove you have good ROI regarding your product, it's really hard to find the first buyer. If you don't have the first buyer, then you don't have enough data. You don't have good enough data, your model prediction still sucks. So similar with ChatGPT, it's pretty good at answering general questions like how to be a successful entrepreneur, but think about the market. Why any entrepreneur ask ChatGPT to become a great entrepreneur instead of just watch a YouTube video or Google or just find a real life mentor? So there are so many competitions in the market. If you want to leverage ChatGPT to focus on one area, it will meet the co-start problem like I mentioned before, because you need fine-tuning, right? For general AI like ChatGPT can answer all kind of questions, but it's not particularly good at one domain. Then when you're playing with ChatGPT, you will need to gradually fine-tune the model to be able to answer good questions regarding a specific domain. So guys, think about co-start problem. Think about how you can get high-quality data. If you have high-quality data, you have users who is willing to try on your products and provide the initial amount of data and feedback, then you probably have some competitive edge. So choose your domain wisely, right? It could be illegal, right? ChatGPT has a lot of use cases like in coding domain, software engineering domain, in law fields, which you can help a lawyer find some like corner cases within a law case, right? It could be trained with some fine tuning. Or in like media space, right? You can use ChatGPT to create media titles, which are more attention, which can draw more attention to because of the creative titles. So you can be a content creator helper. So just think about the domain carefully, think about the data problem, think about the co-start problem. Once you think these things can be overcome, I think it's a good start or a good start point of become a ChatGPT entrepreneur. My previous venture pivoted because of the co-start problem. It's so hard to prove the ROI, so hard to get new customers on board with my chat product at that time. So that's my learning, and if you can overcome these problems, feel free to start with ChatGPT. As for the technology itself, I think it's still too young at this point. It still has a long way to go to become more mature, there need more data accumulation to increase the precision of the product, of the precision of the model prediction, and there's a lot of, it needs commercialized. It needs to put it into the market, get more feedbacks, gather more data, and be more mature eventually. So even though I'm a software engineering manager, even though I've been in the software industry for 10 years, but I'm no machine learning expert, so a lot of this knowledge is just from my general domain knowledge about software. So if you have any thoughts about ChatGPT, ideas about using ChatGPT as an entrepreneur, start your own venture based on ChatGPT, leave your comments down below, leave your thoughts down below. I think we're still like 5-6 years away from literally like any commercialized use case for ChatGPT, but if you have a different opinion, leave your thoughts down below. I'm eager to learn. I'm open to learn new thoughts, opinions. Alright guys, hope you have a great day. Forgive me about the background noise. It's just construction going in my neighborhood right now. It's quite annoying, I understand. So thanks for watching all the way down here. Hope you have an amazing day. Thank you.